The day Grace decided to destroy her best friend's happiness was the same day she wore a dress that stopped her from breathing. Not figuratively. Literally. The zip was so tight, she had to hold the wall just to stand up straight. Her ribs were having a private conversation about leaving her body. But Grace didn't care. Tonight, she was going to steal the show. Grace and Ada had shared a one-bedroom flat in Soyulir for 3 years. They split the rent. They split the indomie when money was tight. They fought every Sunday over whose turn it was to wash plates. They stayed up till 2 a.m. laughing about nothing. From the outside, they looked like the perfect pair. But deep inside Grace, something dark had been growing for a long time. Quietly. Stubbornly. Like mold behind a wall you cannot see. Every time Ada walked into a room, heads turned without being asked. Every time Ada spoke, people leaned in. She had the kind of face that made strangers feel warm and the kind of laugh that made rooms feel smaller in the best way. Grace was not ugly. Grace was not boring. But standing next to Ada, she always felt like the blurry background in someone else's photograph. And now Ada had Kevin. Kevin, who drove a black Benz that had that new leather smell. Kevin, who sent food to the house on random Tuesdays just because. Kevin, who looked at Ada like she was the only clear thing in a foggy room. Grace told herself every morning that she was happy for her friend. She repeated it like a prayer. She was not happy. So when Ada burst through their bedroom door that Tuesday evening, breathless, eyes bright like Christmas morning. "Kevin is taking us to the rooftop party at the wharf tonight, Grace. The big one. You and me, best friends, tonight." Grace smiled so wide her cheeks hurt. But deep in her chest, something whispered, "Not tonight. Tonight, I shine brighter than all of you." That was how Grace ended up in a yellow-painted shop on a narrow back street in Mushin, sandwiched between a phone repair stall and a woman selling boiled groundnuts, sitting across from a man everyone called Barber K. He had a parrot on his shoulder that blinked at her slowly, like it was judging her life choices one by one. 3 cowrie shells sat on the table. A candle burned somewhere behind him even though it was 4 in the afternoon. The whole place smelled like camphor and old secrets. "Remove your shoes," Barber K said. "The spirits don't like synthetic material." "Barber, these are platform heels. I bought them from a boutique Instagram page. 12,000 naira. I can smell the superglue from here. Sit down, my daughter." Grace Saturday. She told him everything. Ada and the way she made everything look effortless. Kevin and his Benz. The party tonight and the white dress she had squeezed herself into. The silver earrings she had bought for 200 naira from a roadside boy who called them diamond adjacent, imported from Dubai by road. Barber K listened without blinking. The parrot tilted its head. Then Barber K reached slowly under his wooden table and brought out a small brown bottle sealed with red wax. "This," he said, holding it up to the light like it was sacred, "is called Ayawo Oru. Wife of the night. You spray it exactly 3 times before you walk into that party. Every man in that room will forget her name. They will see only you." Grace stared at the bottle. Her pulse quickened. "How much?" 50,000 naira. The parrot ruffled its feathers. Even it seemed to know that was not happening. "Barber." Grace placed 500 naira on the table with the quiet confidence of someone donating to a very large church. "I have faith the rest will come." The silence that followed was long and painful. Barber K looked at the money. He looked at Grace. He looked at the parrot. The parrot looked away. "Give me the 500. And bring me small chops from the party. And chin-chin if they have it." Grace sprayed the bottle 3 times in Ada's bathroom and immediately regretted every decision that had led to this moment. The smell detonated in the air like a biological weapon. It was somewhere between burnt rubber, a crowded bus on a Monday morning, and something that had been dead for a week and was very upset about it. Ada knocked on the bathroom door. "Grace. Are you okay in there? Something smells like the inside of a market freezer that lost power." "It's my new perfume. International blend." "International from where exactly?" "The industrial area of Apapa." Grace opened the door, chin lifted, dress compressing her organs, earrings swinging bravely. Ada stood in a simple white dress, hair pinned back, one thin gold chain at her neck. She had not even tried, and she looked like a magazine cover. Grace wanted to be angry. She should have been angry. But Ada looked at her, really looked at her, and then pulled her into a hug. "You look beautiful. We are going to walk in there and remind them who we are." And Grace, with her fake bottle and her fake earrings and her dress cutting off her blood supply, almost let go of the ugly plan entirely. Almost. Their Uber driver spent the whole ride with his window fully down. Nobody said anything about it. The wharf rooftop was everything Grace had stayed up imagining on nights when the generator went off and the heat was unbearable. Crystal glasses catching the light. Soft yellow bulbs strung across the ceiling like trapped stars. Lagos Island below them, glittering and alive, spread out like something God had decorated personally. Men in linen suits talking about things that cost money. Women moving like they owned every room they had ever entered. Even the waiters walked like they had somewhere important to be. Kevin spotted Ada from across the room and walked toward her the way people only walk toward things they are sure of. No hesitation. No performance. Just certainty. Grace watched them and felt something move through her that she did not have words for. Not quite jealousy. Not quite sadness. Something heavier than both. She picked up a glass of juice from a passing tray, squared her shoulders, and decided, "This is my night." She floated toward a group of men near the railing. She tilted her chin. She smiled the smile she had practiced in the bathroom mirror for 20 minutes. One of them nodded politely and turned back to his conversation. She moved to another corner. A man in glasses looked at her, then subtly covered his nose. She was running out of corners. Then a hand tapped her shoulder. She turned. Tall. Clean jaw. The kind of calm that money and self-assurance build together over many years. His watch caught the light quietly, no flash, no showing off, just expensive in the way that doesn't need to announce itself. "Hi, Daniel." He extended his hand. "And you are?" "Grace." She shook it. "But you can call me whatever feels right." He smiled. "Grace feels right. Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "What is that smell?" The floor should have opened. The stars should have fallen. Lagos Island should have slid into the ocean out of second-hand embarrassment. Grace straightened. "It's imported. Very rare blend. Not everyone can appreciate it. I've been trying to figure it out since you walked in. It smells exactly like the pesticide my grandmother used for rats in her Ibadan compound. She swore by it." Grace prepared to disappear permanently. But Daniel was not laughing at her. He was smiling, the kind of smile that was curious, not cruel. "Honestly though, you're the most interesting person on this rooftop. Everybody here is performing. Matching energy, watching who's watching them, making sure the right people see them. You walked in like you had a private agenda and I cannot figure out what it is." Grace opened her mouth. Closed it. "Can I get you a drink?" Daniel asked. She said yes before she meant to. They talked for 2 hours. Not about money. Not about connection or who knew who. They talked about the traffic on 3rd Mainland Bridge and whether jollof rice tasted better when the pot was slightly burnt at the bottom. They talked about the loneliness of sharing a flat with someone and still feeling invisible sometimes. They talked about the pressure of wanting more without knowing how to ask for it honestly. Daniel had grown up in a small flat in Yaba. His mother sold fabric by the roadside until her feet gave out. He built his business from 300,000 naira and 5 years of sleeping 4 hours a night. "People think success is about who you know or what charm you carry," he said, swirling his drink. "But mostly it's just about showing up as yourself long enough for the right doors to notice you." Grace looked at her brown bottle, tucked in her small bag. She said nothing. Across the rooftop, Ada found her between the drinks table and the railing. "You've been with that man for 2 hours, Ada whispered, grinning. "He talked a lot." "He asked Kevin for your number, Grace." Grace's heart did something unexpected and embarrassing. Kevin appeared beside Ada and put a gentle hand on her back, not possessive, just present, and Grace saw it then. What she had been watching from a distance and calling luck. It was not luck. Ada was kind. Ada was patient. Ada never once tried to be anything other than exactly herself, and that was why people moved toward her like she was warm and they were cold. Grace had spent weeks building a plan to take something Ada had not even tried to keep. The drive home was quiet in the best way. Shoes off. Windows down. Lagos at midnight doing what Lagos always does. Never quite sleeping, never quite waking. "You and Daniel," Ada said softly. "Don't." "I'm just saying." "Ada." Grace looked at her friend, her real friend, the one who had chosen her first every single time. "I have to tell you something." Ada waited. "I went to see someone today. A man in Mushin. I asked him for a charm. To make men ignore you tonight and look at me instead." The silence stretched. Then Ada said, very quietly, "The smell." "The smell." Ada pressed her lips together. Her eyes went glassy. And then she laughed, not a polite laugh, not a forgiving laugh, a full, helpless, stomach-hurting laugh that filled the whole car. "Grace, you bought a charm. To steal men from me. At a party my boyfriend invited you to. When you say it like that, what does the charm smell like?" "Dead rat and palm oil." Ada laughed until she cried. Grace looked at her friend, laughing in the backseat of an Uber at midnight, mascara slightly running, and felt the last piece of the ugly thing in her chest finally break apart and scatter. "I'm sorry," Grace said. "Genuinely." Ada wiped her eyes. Took Grace's hand. "I know. You're my person. Even when you're being completely ridiculous." 3 months later, Grace did not land a billionaire. She started a small catering business from their kitchen, making the kind of food that made people close their eyes after the first bite. Ada designed her logo for free, staying up 3 nights to get the font right. Kevin connected her to her first 5 clients through his office. A woman named Sandra, who had been at the wharf party, tasted Grace's food at a corporate lunch and booked her for 6 events in a row. Daniel came by every Friday to test new recipes and never left before midnight. She never went back to Barber K. She did feel slightly guilty about the small chops she never delivered. But sometimes, on quiet mornings when the flat was still and the city outside had not yet started its noise, she opened her wardrobe and saw that brown bottle sitting there. And she smiled. Because on the night she had tried hardest to become someone else, she had accidentally sat still long enough for the right person to find her as herself. No charm. No performance. No fake earrings. No borrowed shine. Just Grace, smelling faintly of rat pesticide, talking about burnt jollof rice on a rooftop above Lagos. And somehow, impossibly, that had been more than enough. The most dangerous competition is the one you run against the people who love you. Because even if you win, you lose the only prize that ever mattered.